Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something really special. We're looking at those beautiful, fleeting moments of family life, and specifically, the brilliant, hilarious, and completely unvarnished logic of a growing child's mind. We're going to explore a fascinating archival project called Thus Spake Sumit. It captures over a decade of real conversations between a boy named Sumit and his parents, Sunil and Amita. There is just so much to learn from how a kid deconstructs the adult world, so let's get right into it. To really wrap our heads around how uniquely a child processes the world, we have to look at what happens when adult achievements crash headfirst into kid priorities. For instance, what does PhD really stand for? Now, for most of us, the answer is pretty obvious, right? But back in 2013, when Sumit's mom, Namita, received her provisional PhD certificate, Sumit had a slightly different interpretation of this major life milestone. And honestly, this just brilliantly illustrates the pragmatic genius of kids. With absolutely perfect comedic timing, Sumit reminded his parents that while they might have a small H PhD, a doctor of philosophy, what he really needed in that exact moment was a capital H PhD. Pizza home delivery. It's just the perfect distillation of child logic, grounding these lofty adult achievements right back down to immediate practical necessities, like getting dinner.
Part 1. Salvaging Digital Family Memories, the Tripod Archives.
So before we look at more of these amazing observations, we kind of need to understand the origins of all this. This wasn't just a physical notebook sitting in a desk drawer somewhere. Sumit's father, Sunil, originally logged these spontaneous observations on his Tripod homepage between 2001 and 2011. But as the internet evolved, those pages were lost to digital decay. To make sure they didn't just fade away forever, Sunil painstakingly salvaged these fragments from the Wayback Machine. What we're actually looking at today is this incredible preservation of digital memory transformed into a tribute to everyday family life.
Part 2. The Logic of Wordplay, Hand, Leg, and Roach.
Kids hilariously deconstruct the English language, finding these hidden rules that we adults have just completely forgotten to question. Take this quote from 2013. Someone told Sumit, "You are handsome." Sumit's immediate, totally deadpan reply, "Thanks, legsome." And what's so brilliant here is the pure structural logic of it. If hands and legs go together on the body, Sumit deduced that being handsome logically meant you could also be legsome. It actually makes perfect sense when you strip away the history of the language and just look at the words as building blocks. And then, there's this absolute classic from 2011. Sumit asked his dad to count out loud, but specifically like this: I 1 cockroach, I 2 cockroach, all the way up to 10. So Sunil played along. He counted out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Sumit instantly caught him and said, "You missed 8. Sunil's unwitting response, "That is because I did not eat a cockroach." Sumit masterfully deployed a classic numerical pun, basically setting a trap that forced his own dad to deliver the timeless punchline. Just brilliant. Sometimes the wordplay is just beautifully, wildly literal. During a lunch in 2016 where fish was on the menu, Sumit just randomly announced, "Mamu likes to eat coins." His dad was, understandably, pretty puzzled by this, until Sumit delivered the underlying logic. She likes to eat the head and the tail of a fish. He made a perfectly literal association. What else has a head and a tail? A coin. It's just a wonderful example of lateral thinking.
Part 3. Unconventional Problem Solving. Math and Life.
Sumit also has some wildly out-of-the-box but practically brilliant problem-solving skills. Picture a 2010 mid-semester math exam. The question was to find the odd one out among 11, 21, 31, and 41. Now, the teacher's intended logic was purely arithmetic. 21 is the only composite number, while the rest are prime. But Sumit, he chose 11. When his dad pressed him on it, expecting it to be a wild guess, Sumit revealed this stunning spatial reasoning. First off, 11 is the only number with a 1 in both the tens and units places. Second, if you rotate the numbers 180 degrees, only 11 still reads the same. The others change. So while the teacher was testing basic division, Sumit was practically doing geometry. And he applied that exact same pragmatic, out-of-the-box thinking to everyday life. Specifically when he was trying to avoid effort during his 2011 Diwali vacation. Why can't they travel? Well, local trains are too crowded and long distance takes too much time. Why can't he practice his Hindi handwriting to avoid a tough project? He simply states, "I do not think I can do this," fully accepting his fate rather than doing the daily work. It is just complete, unfiltered, hilarious honesty.
But honestly, his greatest problem-solving moment might have been saving his father from immense awkwardness. One morning, Sunil was reading a magazine headline about love and unconventional families, and he nervously decided it was time to explain how people sometimes have kids without getting married. Well, before Sunil could even stumble his way through the talk, Sumit interrupted. Why only USA? Even in India this is true. Adoption. Several people adopt children. Sumit effortlessly and so innocently saved his dad from a very complicated conversation.
Part 4, Unique World Observations, Monsoons and Gravity. Now, if you've ever been in a humid, tropical city, Sumit's observations on the environment are going to resonate deeply with you. In 2011, while stuck in a black and yellow taxi during a Mumbai monsoon traffic jam, Sunil called his son to ask how the ride was going. Sumit managed to summarize the entire agonizing dilemma of Mumbai transit in just 4 words. Open rain, close sweat. If they rolled the windows down, the rain poured in. If they rolled them up, they suffocated in the heat. It's incredibly succinct. It's practically poetic.
He also had this fantastic knack for childhood myth-making. When explaining the origins of gravity to his dad, Sumit shared this amazing piece of alternative history. He claimed that the discoverer of gravity was actually an Indian boy named Newton. But, according to Sumit, when Newton went to the US and an apple fell on his head, the Americans couldn't pronounce his name, and that is exactly how he came to be known as Newton. It's a localized, highly creative retelling of scientific history. You have to admit.
And when he was truly engaged with something, his creativity just poured out. Sumit actually wrote an original Hindi poem about the Cricket World Cup entirely on his own. While all his classmates simply copied text straight out of their books for this assignment, Sumit decided to create something totally original, rhyming about Dhoni hitting sixes and Tendulkar giving India a chance. This burst of creativity rightfully earned him a prize from his Hindi teacher. He also held this surprisingly strict, honorable moral compass, even when it came to watching sports. During the 2010 Commonwealth Games, the family was watching a netball match between Jamaica and Malawi. The parents' logic was, well, pretty fluid. Mom supported Jamaica just because they were winning, but Sumit supported the underdog, Malawi, because they were weaker and, in his words, needed support. When his parents got confused by his steadfastness, Sumit actually schooled them on sportsmanship, explaining that you don't just change your support midway, you stick with your team until the very end.
Part 5. Stories Left to Happen. A 2026 conclusion. This whole archiving project spans an entire childhood. It goes from those early days in October 2010, defending Malawi in netball, through August 2013, confusing Independence Day with Eid, all the way to a closing note dated June 2026. After capturing over a decade of these beautiful, fleeting moments, Sunil and a now much older Sumit finally closed the book on this specific project.
And the conversation they have right at the end to close out the book is actually profoundly moving. Sumit asks, then why stop writing? And Sunil simply responds, because some stories are better left to happen. It's a touching, final realization. The family agrees that while preserving memories is absolutely vital and rewarding, actually living them in the moment without constantly worrying about logging them for a digital archive is what truly matters in the end. Which brings us to the big takeaway for all of us today. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to really sit with this thought. What fleeting, everyday moments are you forgetting to save? What brilliant, hilarious fragments of your own family's logic are waiting to be written down right now before they disappear into the noise of daily life? Maybe it's time to start your own archive, even if it's just to capture the magic of right now. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.